If you're brand new to medical coding, you might be waffling over what the main term is in ICD-10-CM, especially when there is a long diagnosis. So today we're going to go step by step through how to find main terms for some real examples. I'll walk you through it using the paper book. You can use the same process with your ebook too. And if you're just getting started and looking for a training program that walks you through this kind of stuff from the ground up, I will share with you one of my favorites, today's sponsor, which is Preppy. And I'll talk about them a little bit later in the video. Let's start with the basics. What is a main term? Well, the main term is the first word that you look up in the alphabetic index of your ICD-10-CM book. It represents the condition or the reason for the encounter. It's usually like a noun, something like fracture, diabetes, infection, pneumonia, hernia. Under that main term that we look up, we'll find subterms. So those are indented entries in the alphabetic index that describe more detail, like the location or the type or the cause. So the main term gets you into the right neighborhood. Those subterms help get you to the exact house. You always with ICD-10-CM start in the alphabetic index to find the main term and then verify the final code in the tabular list. It's different than CPT coding. CPT is just like you find the CPT code that best represents the service or whatever is being provided. ICD-10-CM, there are very specific instructions. You have to start in the alphabetic index, verify in the tabular list, and then look over the other notes because it might say code this second or code something else first or use an additional code. So today I made a listing of some different terms and we're going to look at them and see if you can determine what the main term of this would be. Now, sometimes when we have multiple terms, there might be different words that you can use to look something up. There might even be synonyms that you can use. So if I look up something and you go, but Victoria, I looked up blah, 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 as long as you get to the same code, that's fine. Sometimes there are more than one way to skin a cat when it comes to ICD-10-CM and looking up different conditions. So I'm going to start with this top one. We have paronychia toe. Paronychia is kind of a little infection next to that nail bed there. So I want to start by doing a demonstration of what happens if we were to look up toe. The main term for this one here is going to be, I'm going to tell you right away, paronychia. But what happens if we look up the word toe? Because that's an important learning curve when we are going over cases in ICD-10-CM and talking about main terms. So when we look up the word toe, under toe, it says here, see condition. Now that does not mean to look up the word condition. What it does mean is what is the condition of the toe? Well, in our case, the toe has a paronychia. So that's the term that we're going to be looking up. Same thing if it was, for example, a arm fracture and we looked up the word arm. It would maybe say see condition. What's the condition of the arm? It has a fracture. So that is the condition or the main term that we're looking up would be fracture. So we're going to go over to P for paronychia. And under paronychia, it looks like it tells us see also cellulitis digit. Now that doesn't mean we looked up the wrong thing. It's just redirecting us here. So we're going to go to cellulitis and then to digit. And then here it has cellulitis digit toe. See cellulitis toe. So I'm telling you, sometimes it just sends you on a little wild goose chase and that's fine. That doesn't mean you did it wrong. That's just the way it's directing us. So here we have cellulitis toe L03.03. Now it has this little check mark down here. You know what this check mark means? Well, they tell us right down at the bottom of the book, at least in my edition, that means we need additional character. This is part of the reason we never code directly from the alphabetic index, because if we did, we would be missing a digit. We wouldn't have the full correct code. We get denials or things sent back in the EMR. And here we are, L03.03, cellulitis of toe. Was it the right or the left? Let's take another look at our paper. It doesn't tell us. So in that case, it's unspecified, right? It's not right. It's not left. It's unspecified. They did not tell us. They didn't say, is it going to be right or left? So our full code for this one is going to be L03.039. Write that down here, L03039. Next on our list is congestive heart failure. So we have three terms here, congestive, heart, and failure. Now, remember, I told you not to kind of look up body parts, organ systems, places on the body and nothing like that. So heart's probably out, right? So we have congestive or failure. Congestive is really more of a description of the type of heart failure that they're having. So we'll probably do better looking up the term failure, and then it's probably going to say maybe congestive to heart or heart to congestive. We have to follow those indentations down. Let's take a look. Here we are with our main term failure. And then if we go down a little bit to heart, under heart, I know I just saw it here. Right there's heart. And then we're going to go down to our indentation, heart congestive. I know I just saw that too. Heart congestive. Now, we don't have here that it's with rheumatic fever or active or inactive. We do have the default code here, I50.9. Let's take a look there. I50.9 says heart failure unspecified, and then it says congestive heart disease, congestive heart failure not otherwise specified. So I50.9 would be our code here. Next, we have diabetic retinopathy. So I don't know, this might be one where we could go and start with either. I know there's a lot of codes under the diabetes with, so I think we should start with diabetic. A couple of points to note with diabetes. So in ICD-10-CM guidelines, we have a guideline that says that any term that appears under the term with, under any term, including diabetes, is assumed to be automatically related unless the provider specifically documents that it is not related. Also, we have two types of diabetes. Our coding guidelines is that if it is not documented as if it's type 1 or type 2 diabetes, the automatic default assumption is that it is type 2 diabetes. And these here, right under that term diabetes, are all our type 2 codes. And then we have that term with. This will often appear first under certain conditions, just because we want to look for those combination codes first. So here we have diabetes with, and we're going to go down and look for retinopathy. So here we have retinopathy. Now, we don't have any further information here that, it has macular edema or anything like that. So we're going to go with the E11319. Now, I'm going to write that down, but I'm going to verify it in my tabular list. And then here we have E11319, type 2 diabetes mellitus with unspecified diabetic retinopathy without macular edema. So that is the correct term. It doesn't say that we have to code anything additionally or need an additional character. It is E11.319. Now we're getting a little bit more complicated here. Here we have cerebral infarction due to arterial thrombosis brain. There's a couple of things we could look up. Maybe thrombosis, maybe infarction. Those would probably be our top two contenders. When you see, though, infarction, that's usually more the condition, the tissue death that is due to that lack of that blood supply. So I would go maybe more so with the main term infarction. You can try looking up thrombosis and see if it can get you to the same code, though. But that's where I would start with infarction. Now, here's one where we really need to pay attention to these indentations. So we have here infarct, and then we have cerebral. But then we have further indentations here. You can this is why they have these yellow lines in my edition of the book, to kind of see how far in the indentations you are. So here we have cerebral, and then down here we have due to. Well, what was this one due to? It was due to an arterial thrombosis. So let's see here if they have thrombosis, and then they do have cerebral artery and pre-cerebral artery. Well, it was a cerebral infarction due to arterial thrombosis. So let's go with the I63.3. Now, I63.3 is an incomplete code. It says right here with this icon, we need a fifth character. So what is the breakdown then further here as far as specification? We have middle cerebral artery, anterior. We don't have any of that information. So we do have here, though, a code for, it looks like, unspecified. And then we have of unspecified anterior cerebral artery, and we don't have notation that it was anterior. So I would really go more with this kind of cerebral infarction due to thrombosis of unspecified cerebral artery, which is our I63.30. All right, and then we have diaphragmatic hernia with gangrene. Diaphragmatic, again, more that location. the with gangrene seems more descriptive of the hernia. So I really think the condition or the main term here is going to be hernia. And that under that further indentations, we can maybe find with gangrene or that it's diaphragmatic with gangrene. So let's start there with hernia. So here we are in the hernia section, and we're going to go down here and we can see we have hernia diaphragm and then with gangrene. And it takes us to K44.1. So I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. K44.1. And I'll go look that up where? In our tabular list. Under K44.1, it says diaphragmatic hernia with gangrene. Doesn't say we need any additional characters. There is some includes, excludes notes. We're not worried. This doesn't have anything in our documentation about congenitals or what have you. Diaphragmatic. It's not a congenital hernia. It doesn't say that. It looks like we're pretty good with our K44.1 diaphragmatic hernia with gangrene. Now, the last one is going to be another tricky one. We have here accidental poisoning by herbicides, subsequent encounter. Now, if you've not gotten this far in your ICD-10-CM training, you might not know that we, in addition to the alphabetic index, have an index for external causes and then for like poisonings and stuff. We have a table for all of these different things that can happen as a result of accidentally taking substances or overdosing or underdosing, etc. I'll show you where that is. Now, I have my book all neatly tabbed. So here's the external causes. So that's like if a patient has an accident skiing or if they have a motor vehicle accident, all kinds of external causes. But what we're looking for here is the table of drugs and chemicals, which I have over here. We also have a table for neoplasms as well. So what we do is this is all of the different substances that patients might have issues with, that they either had some accidental poisoning, intentional poisoning, it was as an assault by poisoning, adverse effects, underdosing, etc. I have a whole other video where I talk about this particular table that you can check out. But when we're talking about like what are we looking up first? Well, really what we're going to do first is go to the table. And then the next term that we're going to look for is probably herbicides. And let's see if they have, I'm not sure if they have one specifically for herbicides. Let's take a look. So in this table, you'll see a lot of like drugs and medications, like maybe Tylenol or morphine, but you'll also see things like laundry detergent if a patient's having an adverse reaction to that, or even bleach. So let's see if we have herbicide. Herbicide, there we go. NEC, if you haven't gotten that far in your study, is not elsewhere classified. So if they had maybe given us specific type of herbicide, we would maybe have a specific lookup for that. But this one, we have kind of a generic code for it. I'm going to grab my ruler, and I should probably have my reading glasses too, because I'm getting to that age. But let's see here. Herbicide not otherwise classified, and this says it was an accidental poisoning. So we're going to follow our table, and I'll scoot this down so you can see. This is accidental, so poisoning accidental, and here we have T60.3X1, and that looks like it probably needs an additional character because remember it says here subsequent encounter. We have 7th characters for initial, subsequent, sequela. Again, you'll probably find out more about that, but let's write this down so we don't forget it. T40. And that is, I don't want to write down heroin. That's not the right one. So the herbicide is T63X1. So here is our T63X1, toxic effects of herbicides and fungicides, accidental. And it says we need a 7th character. And you might be looking at this going, Victoria, where the heck? I don't see underneath here any further, like, where's these 7th characters? Well, when it comes to some of these 7th characters, we actually have to go backwards, go up the table until we find kind of this little section here where it tells us where we're selecting our 7th character from. So here it is. We have here the appropriate 7th character is to be added to each code from category T60. Remember, 3 digits is a category, and we're in that category of T60. And it says A for initial, D for subsequent, S for sequela. So this one says it is a subsequent encounter. So when we look here, subsequent encounter, 7th character is D. We're going to add that on to our 7th character spot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our full code here for this one is T60.1. 0.3x1D. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, I kind of get this process, but I really wish someone could help train me through it and like from start to finish, that is where Preppy comes in. Preppy's online medical billing and coding program, which is in partnership with Auburn University, gives you structured step-by-step training to prepare you for the CPC certification exam, which is the top certification that employers are looking for in medical coding positions. Preppy is affordable, it is self-paced, and it comes with lots of great extras like resume support, an externship option, and 80 contact hours that can help you remove your apprenticeship status faster with the AAPC. You can check it out and learn more through my free career masterclass at medicalcodingmasterclass.com. I will put the link in the description below. Now, quick final recap. The main term is the condition or the reason for the encounter. It's usually some kind of noun. You will find it in the alphabetic index, and then you always verify your final code in the tabular list. Although we saw sometimes we have to use some of those tables, like our table of drugs and chemicals or external causes or neoplasms. But just keep practicing and practicing until the process feels more automatic. And don't get discouraged if you don't get it on the first try. It might send you one or two other places or things that you have to look up. But practice is really one of the best habits that you can have when you are building yourself and building your skills this early in your coding career. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more tutorials, and let me know in the comments what you would like me to show you how to practice next. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Keep on coding on.